Is there any like really funny super African like tradition that you can share with us that's just...
And I also met a witch doctor there, but I actually, in the center was a massive abattoir, so they're killing all the goats and the sheep and like whatever. I mean, and he went to
the appendicitis.
Yeah, so I don't know how, I can't explain it to you.
When I had a heel appendicitis, I almost died.
So I'm just
cut open by a beer bottle.
Exactly.
So, just to introduce, we're another episode of Bar Talks. We have here with us Kurt Schlechter, the man, the myth, the legend, 20 years representing, or more actually, representing the South African...
Somewhere around there.
...bar industry. It's the Botox, that's why he looks so good. Right, this is the one, this is your favorite brandy that we haven't tried yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Give me some right now.
Let me give you some, yeah. So this is Old Joseph Barry. This is the summer brandy I was telling you about. Deciduous fruits, tropical fruits, Chenin Blanc grapes, Colombo, really delish VSOP 4-year.
Limousin forest of central France.
Exactly, yeah. So that's really...
Not fucking around. Summer brandy.
Yeah, just smell that. It's like insane.
Oof.
Good stuff. I'll give you a bottle of this to take with you. It's like...
We've visited a whole bunch of brandy distilleries. We've been checking out the bar scene. I don't actually know enough about Kurt's to be able to go all of his achievements and awards, but he owns Cause and Effect, which is a bar here in South Africa, in Cape Town. He's got 2 of them. Kurt's the future sort of Salvatore Calabrese of South Africa.
One could only hope.
If he survives that long.
If I live that long.
But what, can you give us a quick like sort of, because you do so much different things.
Yes.
That it'd be nice for you to like just quickly...
Well, you know, I can throw out your favorite word, obviously. I'm a consultant.
Yeah, unemployed.
Unemployed consultant. Yeah, so I've been into training bartenders for a very long time, and some of the history, I opened a lab, Lab Cape Town here from Lab London. Mm-hmm. So I used to hang out worked a little bit, a couple of months with Douglas and then we opened Lab here, and I've been into bartending, and I've gone through all those things. I'm old enough to say I went through the Flair stage and worked with the FBA, Flair Bartenders Association, used to go to Legends of Bartending and things like that. That's all that. But training has been my forte, and competing in a couple of competitions, like Tahona, which I won in Mexico, and now basically I'm an educator first and foremost. And I ran a program, quite a successful program in Africa called Bar Stars. Yep. And I was the director of that and that was for Pernod Ricard for like 5 years. And that was amazing, going to like 12 or 15 different countries
That's here in the African continent? In
the African continent, yeah. So I spend most of my time in Africa. I'm sort of like an Africa specialist in bars, and we do a lot of bespoke events and things like that. So I'm a fixer if you need to run a bar. And you need to get someone to go actually fix your shit, then I'll go do it. And then I have Cause and Effect. The Cause and Effect started as just a little project, and here we are today. Thank goodness I started because I couldn't travel anymore, obviously because of COVID. And Cause and Effect is basically my bread and butter now, and I want to uplift the bartending community, and that's what I've been doing all along. And you know, some of the projects we'll probably talk about now that I'm going to be doing.
There's a whole bunch of other stuff he's not mentioning because I think he's trying to be humble.
Really, I'm first and foremost super passionate about brandy. I'm super passionate about bartending, the community, the hospitality around it, and then of course my guests love. You know, we like offering these great guest experiences, and that's what Cause Effect is about. And also inspired by nature in Cape Town, and I think that's why we getting more successful all the time, is because we're offering a bar terroir of Cape Town, let's call it that, inside our bar.
First of all, I didn't realize there was a lab in Cape Town. So we had a lab from London.
Exactly.
There was one in Cape Town, 20 odd years ago, I assume.
Correct, it was 2004, somewhere around there.
And we can honestly say that the Pornstar Martini is a Cape Townian classic.
100%. So there's a very famous ballet here that gentlemen go to. A late night ballet though, that everybody attends, aka a strip club. And so Douglas had a sort of idea, but I remember I think it was called, and the place is called Mavericks. Originally it was called the Mavericks Martini, but I remember he wasn't going to say that. But yeah, the true story is that, and the funny thing is when I first met Douglas at Lab, I walked in there, he was actually eating a passion fruit. I remember that I walked in, I said, "Oh, you're eating a granadilla?" And he's like, He's like, so what the fuck's a granadilla? And I said, no, that's, he says, no, this is a passion fruit. Because South Africans would call it a granadilla. So yes, porn martini, originally from here, named there. And
I think that's amazing. I think that's one of these little things that no one has any clue that that's actually the deal. And here we are.
I love stories like that. I mean, that is like,
that. See, Cape Town and South Africa have been influencing modern bartending way more than you think. Here's the thing, right? So now we live in a world of Instagram, social media, you know. Everyone feels way more connected, or at least they think that they're way more connected. But it's amazing to hear that something that's so big on the other side of the world happened to have found its origins in a place like Cape Town.
Crazy.
And so I think one of the things I want to ask you about is, what do you think, probably the most traveled African representative, I guess, all over Africa, right?
Yes.
In the bar industry.
Yes.
How have you seen it develop, really, from 20 years ago to now?
Well, it's massive, and I think Africa's doing extremely well in terms of the pace that it's developing now, and especially in the last 5 years. So Africa's growing, the growth in Africa has been quite big. And the reason why I say that, because there has been some moves by Tales of the Cocktail getting representatives in Africa. And so Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, I would say, are the three up-and-coming powerhouses of African bartending.
Yeah.
Ghana especially, it's like the likes of Chris Beanie's there, that runs number 10. And he's running many other cocktail bars. You know, he's a British guy. And then Douglas was a Ghanaian as well. Like, I think we spoke about that. And then Nigeria's also got a few guys that are focused on bar skills. And I think obviously it's because of, a lot of people have access to social media, so they see all the pretty pictures of bartending. They see that what they can attain. And I think social media has absolutely played a massive role. Yeah, I mean, they've had Tom Dyer, the famous flair bartender from London. He's been to a couple of places as well in Africa. And I mean, even in Cameroon, there's a small little cocktail culture, you know. And of course, there's massive bottle service. I mean, that's the thing, you know. The bottle
service is Africa.
But the guys are drinking more cocktails. I mean, you know, I've been to some places in Congo where they're making cosmopolitans and they don't have any ice actually behind the bar, and they're making the drink exactly, they make them mojito exactly how it is, except there's just no ice anywhere.
That sounds horrific.
Yeah, so you just have to drink them very quickly, you know. And
I don't think they're gonna get any warmer.
Yeah, and I hope I can play a bigger part in the upliftment of the African continent in terms of bartending. There's a massive space with some amazingly massive bars that are run very well.
Is there any like really funny super African like tradition that you can share with us that's just probably no one's ever heard of?
Well, I can tell you there's a lot of interesting things. So there's a lot of traditional healers. This is the culture. Every different tribes have got different cultures, and like just saying, my chef's like he was quite sick, and he went to all the doctors here and they couldn't help him, so he went home and you know, his Sangoma, his healer said, look, it's witchcraft, and he literally healed him.
Holy shit.
You know what I mean? So he sent me a message. So, you know, if you're looking in the employment industry, the guy sends me a message, says, look, my Sangoma said it's witchcraft, he's going to do this and give me this muti, and he healed him, and he's healed. So, you know, so there's interesting things like that you just don't understand and wouldn't understand. And if someone said that to you...
Can I get a doctor's note? And
it's so the doctor's note is from his traditional healer.
There's a curse on your bartender, we need 10 days off.
Exactly. So he actually took a month off, but it was appendicitis, but it's gone now. So we don't. I mean, and he went to
healed appendicitis.
Yeah. So I don't know how. I can't explain it to you.
When I had a heel appendicitis, I almost died.
So I'm just
cut open by a beer bottle.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it's basically, so belief is belief, you know. And I can tell you funny stories that obviously when we go into Africa, you're always going to the market. You want to just see all the local ingredients you can make drinks with. In Ghana, there's a massive market, and you walk like in these little paths, through this massive maze of huts and shacks. It's all people selling things, you know. Yeah. And I remember I walked for like 30 minutes with this guy. And like I've just told my driver to stop, and I'd introduce myself to a guy standing by the side of the road and say, hey, can you be my guide? And off we go into this middle of this thing. And I also met a witch doctor there, but I actually, in the center was a massive abattoir, so they're killing all the goats and the sheep and like whatever. And this witch doctor came up and he says, no, I've seen you in my dreams, you know, like all this crazy stuff. And he actually gave me a sword. He gave me a sword that's inside a walking stick, just gave it to me. So I'm thinking this guy's saying he's seen me in a dream. This is obviously...
By this.
By that. And he's saying, no. He said he knew that this he must give to me. And I didn't give him anything, and he gave me this. Literally, it's hanging in the bar of his. Isn't that a weird story, you know? And I couldn't. It just confounded me.
No, but
and they had this
like,
crazy stuff, you know, dried everything, and big dried chameleons and all that stuff. And he absolutely wanted nothing from me.
He
just gave me the sword, and I was like, yeah, this is Africa.
So what is the history, roughly, of South African brandy? And obviously, I understand South African wine is quite famous. So
yes.
Where you have wines, we have wine, you have grapes, you have brandy.
The story goes that the first brandy was distilled like on a ship here called the Pale. But it was distilled here by a chef inside Cape Town Harbour, a Dutch chef. And that's a story that is, it's about 200 years old. Basically, it was run by the Corporatie, which is the corporation of KWV. Now it's privately owned, but then it was government owned. It was first called Kaapse Smaak, which is called the Cape Taste, and that's what the French and the Dutch called it. And it wasn't a compliment; it meant it was shit.
Okay.
So it was like underage. There's no regulation, no laws. And only in about the 1915s there were laws that came into place. And it's made in the French style of pot stills, Schlechter French style pot stills. Has to be 3 years age and has a Chenin Blanc or Colombar.
Right, those are the two grapes.
Yeah, totally two grapes. And there's 3 different styles. There's blends, which is what the guys drink with the brandy and coke, obviously, 30%
also,
pot still.
can we say that the drink of South Africa is brandy and coke?
100%.
So wherever we're talking like gin tonics is the UK, maybe you have a Cuba Libre somewhere else.
Yes.
Brandy and coke.
But a lot of guys will drink a brandy and coke. It's like tastes like wooded chocolate and
Well, we're not talking about high end. We're talking about just like the mainstream population. Brandy and coke is definitely a thing.
30% pot still, 70% column still grape spirit mixed together, and it makes up 94% of all the sales of all the styles of brandies. And there's 3 styles. That's the blended, the pot still. Pot still's 100%.
Yeah.
Like cognac style, but made with our style of grapes. And the third one is estate brandies, which are like brandies made on a wine estate. They can be blends of different pot stills.
It's about the brandy thing, right?
Yes.
So there's a thing that I love telling everyone who, obviously this is a very unique South African thing. To protect the brandy industry, there was a 40% ABV law that comes in. Can you tell me more what the deal there is?
All alcohol in South Africa is 43% ABV by law.
To be a spirit.
To be a spirit. So if you want to bring in any international brand to South Africa, you have to have it at 43% ABV, or you can choose to call it a spirit aperitif. Right. But you have to put a big sticker on the bottle that says
Don Julio is a spirit aperitif in this country. It's not a tequila.
Yeah, so it actually has a sticker that says, and I mean, Absolute for many years had spirit aperitif on their bottle as well.
In terms of the flavor difference, this is a very good example of terroir, right? The flavors of brandy here are so different. Why would that be? Because you called this summer brandy, right?
Yeah, summer brandy. So yeah, you get a different styles: cooked fruit, stewed fruit, dried fruit. Cooked fruit, seafood, probably the same thing, but and then you get the tropical brandies, I call them, or the summer brandies. They've got lots of deciduous fruit. Some have coconut, pineapple, that type of thing. Traditionally, South African brandies, apricot and peach, maybe apricot kernel peach.
What is Fynbos?
Yeah, so we are super lucky to be in one of the 6 floral kingdoms in the world. It's called the Cape Floral Kingdom. It's like a belt of like 160 kilometers. Don't quote me on that. The floral kingdom is basically it's a uniquely biodiverse area that's unique and has its own, has a massive collection of endemic plants. So we've got 9,000 species of plants, 2/3 of it's endemic to South Africa, to the Western Cape. So Fynbos is basically a mixture of shrubs, and a very famous Fynbos obviously is rooibos, honeybush, buchu, a protea, the famous king protea, the whole Proteacea genus is all Fynbos. But we have to also be careful. So where we source our Fynbos is very important because it takes long to grow. So we use a lot of slangbos, which a lot of the farmers like us to harvest for them and clear paths, because when it burns, it burns.
This is all forage. This is all wild forage.
Yeah, this is all wild forage. We buy some from nurseries, and we have some agreements with farmers as well. So it depends what we need and when we need it. But obviously, once you harvest it lasts very long.
Yeah.
You know. So and we use it in tinctures, and like we've made vermouth with the tinctures, shrubs, whatever you can possibly think as a bartender, you can do it. That you can do the Fynbos.
Well, that's amazing, because you having access to things that nowhere else in the world has is. Every time, this is my second time visiting South Africa, but every time I go, it's just like, feels like you're only scratching the surface. And there's at least 20 plants or things that you mentioned in the last 10 minutes that people are going to be like, what the fuck is this guy saying?